Have you ever wondered why Alfa Romeo, a brand with more than a century of history, has never quite reached the pinnacle of automotive success? Alfa Romeo, the iconic Italian car manufacturer, has a rich and colorful past that spans more than 100 years. Established in the year 1910, this brand has seen it all, from the early days of motor racing to the advent of modern automotive technology. The name Alfa Romeo is synonymous with Italian elegance and style. This legendary automaker, born in Milan, started its journey as Anonima Lombarda Fabbrica Automobili, or Alfa, before being christened as Alfa Romeo in 1920. From the get-go, Alfa Romeo was not just about producing cars. It was about creating a legacy steeped in innovation, performance, and design. In the early days, Alfa Romeo was heavily involved in motor racing, a pursuit that would shape its identity and destiny. Racing was not merely a sport for Alfa Romeo, it was a testing ground, a platform to showcase its technological prowess and design ingenuity. The brand's early involvement in motor racing set the stage for a commitment to performance and speed that would become a hallmark of Alfa Romeo's identity. However, despite its storied past and impressive pedigree, Alfa Romeo has always been somewhat of an enigma in the automotive world. The brand has produced some truly remarkable and iconic vehicles, but it has never quite managed to achieve the level of global success or recognition that its peers have enjoyed. So what happened along the way? Why didn't Alfa Romeo become a dominant automotive powerhouse? This is a question that has puzzled car enthusiasts and industry experts alike for decades. As we delve deeper into the history of Alfa Romeo, we'll try to unravel this century-old enigma. Stay tuned as we explore the peaks and valleys of Alfa Romeo's journey, a journey that is as fascinating as it is complex. Diving into the early years, Alfa Romeo was actually born out of a French car company called Darracq. The year was 1910, and a group of Italian investors led by Ugo Stella acquired the Italian branch of Automobiles Darracq, a French car company. They renamed it Anonima Lombarda Fabbrica Automobili, or Alfa for short, setting the stage for the birth of Alfa Romeo. From the outset, Alfa was focused on performance. Its first car, the 24 horsepower, was a testament to this, boasting a robust engine that was a marvel for its time. Motor racing was in Alfa's DNA, and it wasn't long before the company made its mark in the field. In the year 1920, the company's name was changed to Alfa Romeo, and an emblem was created that would become synonymous with speed and style. Alfa Romeo's early success in motor racing was nothing short of phenomenal. The company's cars, driven by some of the era's most celebrated drivers, won numerous races. This included the inaugural World Championship for Grand Prix cars in 1925, which was won by the Alfa Romeo P2 racer. But Alfa Romeo wasn't just about racing, it was also about creating high-quality, sporty cars that were as much a pleasure to drive on the road as they were on the track. Key models from these early years included the RL, which was produced in the 1920s, and was known for its impressive power and luxurious design. The combination of racing success and a reputation for quality helped Alfa Romeo establish a strong brand image. People began to associate the name Alfa Romeo with speed, style, and sophistication. The company's early years were marked by innovation, ambition, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. However, despite these promising beginnings, the road ahead for Alfa Romeo was far from smooth. The early years set Alfa Romeo on a promising trajectory, but the road ahead was far from smooth. Economic downturns, world wars, and a series of ownership changes would all conspire to challenge this iconic brand's survival. But that's a story for another time. For now, let's revel in the glory of Alfa Romeo's early years, a time of triumph and innovation that set the stage for what was to come. As the world plunged into war, so did Alfa Romeo's fortunes take a turn. This was a time of global turmoil, and the repercussions were felt deep within the heart of the automobile industry. Alfa Romeo, a name synonymous with luxury and speed, found itself thrust into a world where such qualities were no longer a priority. World War II was a game-changer for many industries, and the automobile sector was no exception. Alfa Romeo, once a beacon of Italian craftsmanship and engineering, was forced to shift its focus. The war effort demanded resources, and Alfa Romeo had to turn its attention from producing elegant, high-performance cars to manufacturing military hardware. This was no easy transition. The production lines that once churned out sleek, powerful vehicles now had to accommodate tanks and aircraft engines. The company's resources, both human and material, were stretched thin. The very essence of Alfa Romeo, its identity as a purveyor of automotive excellence, was put on hold. But the challenges didn't stop there. The war brought destruction, and Alfa Romeo's factories weren't spared. The factories in Milan and Naples, once buzzing with activity, were reduced to rubble. This was a devastating blow, affecting not just the company's production capabilities, but also its morale. Imagine the scene: factories in ruins, production halted, the future uncertain. It was a grim time, a period of survival rather than success. Yet, despite these hardships, Alfa Romeo persevered. The company's resilience, its unwavering commitment to quality, shone through even in the darkest of times. The war years were a tough time for Alfa Romeo. The company had to navigate through a sea of challenges, from the shift in production focus to the destruction of its factories. As the war ended, Alfa Romeo found itself in a world that had changed dramatically. The post-war years would bring new challenges, new opportunities, and a new direction for this iconic brand, but that's a story for another time. Post-war, Alfa Romeo aimed for a comeback, but it was a different world now. The world had changed dramatically, and so had the automotive landscape. Alfa Romeo too had to change, and they did, but not without challenges. In the ashes of the war, the Italian carmaker saw an opportunity to reinvent itself. The 1950s saw the launch of Alfa Romeo's 1900, a model that signaled the company's shift from luxury vehicles to more accessible, mass-produced cars. The 1900 was Alfa Romeo's first car built entirely on a production line, and the first to be made in significant numbers. It was a car designed for a new era, an era that demanded practicality over opulence. The 1900 was followed by the Giulietta, a family of cars that included a saloon, coupe, and spider. The Giulietta was a hit, and its success reflected in Alfa Romeo's rising sales figures. The Giulietta, with its blend of Italian style and performance, appealed to the post-war public that was eager for a taste of la dolce vita. But Alfa Romeo was not just about making cars for the public. The company was also rebuilding its reputation on the racetrack. In the 1950s, Alfa Romeo enjoyed considerable success in motorsport. The company's cars were a common sight at races worldwide, a testament to the brand's resilience and determination. Yet even as Alfa Romeo was making strides on the road and the racetrack, the company was facing challenges. The post-war boom was starting to fade, and the company's financial situation was becoming increasingly precarious. The cost of producing cars was rising and competition was intensifying. Alfa Romeo was a company in flux, caught between its illustrious past and an uncertain future. Despite the initial post-war success, Alfa Romeo was about to hit some major speed bumps. The company's journey was far from over, and the road ahead was fraught with more challenges and tough decisions. But for a brief moment in the 1950s, Alfa Romeo shone brightly, a beacon of Italian style and engineering in a world emerging from the shadows of war. The 1970s and 1980s saw Alfa Romeo spiraling downwards, despite some iconic models. A series of unfortunate events started to unfold for the Italian automaker, once a symbol of power and prestige. The period was marked by a struggle with the quality control, a factor that quickly became Alfa Romeo's Achilles heel. Cars rolling out of the factories were plagued with issues, often minor, but persistently nagging, which started to taint the brand's image. The once reliable Alfa Romeo was now synonymous with frequent visits to the mechanic. Labor issues also seeped into the company. A turbulent labor market in Italy, coupled with escalating tensions between the management and unions, disrupted the production lines. Strikes and slowdowns became a common sight at the Alfa Romeo factories, further denting the brand's reputation and bottom line. The company's financial health started to deteriorate, largely due to the declining sales and increasing manufacturing costs. The once flourishing firm was now gasping for breath, struggling to stay afloat. However, amidst these challenges, Alfa Romeo did manage to produce some standout models. The Alfa Sud, a compact car launched in the early 70s, was a testament to Alfa Romeo's design flair. The car was an instant hit and brought a fresh wave of customers to the brand. Similarly, the Alfetta, with its distinctive design and superior handling, managed to carve a niche for itself. But the impact of these models was not enough to reverse the downward spiral. The company's struggles overshadowed the success of the models, and the brand's reputation took a hit. Customers started to lose trust in Alfa Romeo, and the sales plummeted. The once proud Alfa Romeo was now a shadow of its former self. A company that once stood tall in the automotive world was now grappling with its existence, a far cry from its glory days. As we move into the next era of Alfa Romeo's history, we'll see how the brand tried to reinvent itself and reclaim its lost glory. In 1986, Fiat took over Alfa Romeo, marking a new era for the struggling brand. With the ink still fresh on the acquisition papers, Fiat set out with a mission to breathe new life into the Italian automaker. The plan was simple, or so they thought. Revitalize the brand through exciting new models and improved quality control. First on the agenda was the introduction of the Alfa Romeo 156. Launched in 1997, the 156 was a stylish sedan that seemed to signal a promising future. It had an appealing blend of Italian flair and solid performance. Yet, beneath the sleek exterior, the old Alfa Romeo issues of quality and reliability began to rear their ugly heads. Undeterred, Fiat pushed forward with the 159. Introduced in 2005, the 159 was a premium sedan designed to compete with the likes of BMW and Mercedes. On paper, it was a compelling proposition. It boasted an attractive design, a high-quality interior, and a range of powerful engines. But once again, despite its promising start, the 159 fell short in the areas where Alfa Romeo had always struggled: build quality and consistency. Throughout these years, Fiat continued to pour resources into Alfa Romeo, dedicated to turning around the brand's fortunes. But the same old problems persisted. Car enthusiasts and critics alike could see the potential in the brand, but the execution continually fell short. The cars were beautiful, they were engaging to drive, but they were plagued by reliability issues and inconsistent quality. It seemed that no matter how much effort Fiat put into Alfa Romeo, the brand's troubled past always caught up with it. Despite new models and a renewed focus on quality, the Alfa Romeo name continued to be synonymous with beauty and frustration in equal measure. Despite Fiat's best efforts, Alfa Romeo still couldn't escape its troubled past. It's a testament to the enduring appeal of the Alfa Romeo brand that, even in the face of these challenges, it still commands a loyal following. But one can't help but wonder what might have been if the brand had managed to shake off its old demons. Today, Alfa Romeo is trying to reclaim its former glory, but the road remains uphill. The automaker is attempting to navigate the modern automotive landscape with its current models such as the Giulia and the Stelvio. Each of these cars carries a piece of Alfa Romeo's rich history, with the Giulia harkening back to the company's glory days of sports sedans, while the Stelvio represents the brand's first foray into the highly competitive SUV market. The Giulia and the Stelvio have both been met with critical acclaim for their performance and design. Their driving dynamics evoke the spirit of Alfa Romeo's illustrious past, and their sleek Italian styling sets them apart in a sea of more conservatively designed competitors. However, while these models have won the hearts of motoring enthusiasts, they have struggled to win over the general car-buying public. Despite the positive reception, Alfa Romeo continues to grapple with issues of quality and reliability. These are problems that have plagued the automaker for years, casting a shadow over its many achievements. In an age where consumers value dependability and longevity, Alfa Romeo's reputation for mechanical issues and high maintenance costs stands as a significant obstacle to its success. Furthermore, the company's struggles are not just limited to its vehicles. Alfa Romeo also faces internal challenges, including a lack of clear direction and leadership. This has resulted in a disjointed product lineup and inconsistent branding. The company has also struggled to stay relevant in a rapidly evolving automotive market, with emerging trends such as electric and autonomous vehicles posing new challenges. In the face of these obstacles, Alfa Romeo continues to soldier on. The company remains committed to its core values of performance and design, and is working hard to address its issues. But whether these efforts will be enough to secure a successful future for this storied brand is still up in the air. Whether Alfa Romeo can finally overcome its past and secure a successful future is a question that remains unanswered. Alfa Romeo presents a paradox, a brand with a rich history and iconic models that never quite made it big. Born out of the passion for motoring, Alfa Romeo's century-old journey is an enthralling tale of innovation, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of perfection. From the roaring 20s, when Alfa established its racing pedigree, to the post-war era that saw the birth of some of the most iconic models like the Giulietta and the Giulia, Alfa Romeo's story is interwoven with moments of sheer brilliance. But the brand's glittering past is also speckled with patches of gloom. Quality issues have been a recurring theme in Alfa Romeo's narrative. From the 70s onwards, the brand was often criticized for its inconsistent build quality and the unreliability of its models. These issues, coupled with mounting financial troubles, began to tarnish the brand's reputation. The Fiat era, which began in the mid-80s, was supposed to herald a new dawn for Alfa Romeo. But despite the injection of much-needed funds and resources, the brand struggled to regain its former glory. The market had evolved and competition had grown fiercer. Alfa Romeo's offerings, although imbued with the brand's distinct Italian charm, found it tough to stand out in a sea of technologically advanced and highly reliable models from other manufacturers. Yet, Alfa Romeo's appeal never completely faded. The brand's allure lies in its ability to stir emotions, to awaken the romantic in us with its unique blend of aesthetics, performance, and that quintessential Italian flair. But as we've seen, appeal alone is not enough to ensure success in the cutthroat world of automobiles. In the end, Alfa Romeo's story serves as a poignant reminder that in the automotive world, a rich history and a revered name are not always enough to guarantee success.